But back to our story. Verse 14. Abraham rose up early in the morning. He took bread and a bottle of water. There's his hospitality kicking in, as always. And gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, and the child, and sent her away. And she departed, and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. Now, unfortunately, a little bread and water isn't going to last long. In fact, it only lasted one verse. So in verse 15, the water was spent in the bottle. So does this poor woman, she's now kind of becomes the personification of a widow or a single mother. What am I going to do? Well, sadly, she cast the child under one of the shrubs. She saw no solution. There was no hope. There was no future for him or for her. And perhaps in her devastation, it's just, I can't watch this. So at least I will give him a measure of shade to die in. I'll stand here and die in the sun. This is an earlier example of the widow of Zarephath, that I'm about to die and my son, and so I'm just going to make one last cake for us to share. And we'll eat it and die. Well, here we've drunk and eaten, and now we're ready to die. Verse 16, she went and sat her down over against him, a good way off, as it were a bow shot. For she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept. Hagar is a good soul. As human as the rest of us. As human as Sarah. Yes, pride from below, but there was pride from above. And here she is, a mother with a mother's heart. And I have nothing to give. But I can't stay and just watch this. And so a bow shot away. Remember when Joseph Smith, as a young boy, was having his leg operation? And he begged his mom, leave me. He had no idea if he'd survive it. But he wanted his mother to, emotionally, at least to whatever degree she would be able to. Mom, please leave. Talk about a sensitive son from a young age. I'll just stay here with my father. I guess he's tough enough by way of emotion that he can just hold me down and suffer with me. But Mom, I don't want to break your tender heart. So leave. According to some accounts, she went like 300 yards into the forest. There's a bow shot for you. And even from there, she could hear the screams of her son. And at one point came rushing. 300 yards is a long way to sprint, but rushing back to the cabin and burst open the door and to see this horror as her son sees her and says, Mom, leave, go. This is a mother trying to save her son and a son trying to save her mother. And I would imagine similar emotions are taking place with Hagar and Ishmael. Then in verse 17, God comes through. He magnifies his mercies, making them obvious enough for us to find his grace. God heard the voice of the lad. Now he's old enough. This isn't a baby under the shrub. This is a young boy. And God hears his voice. Is he crying or is he praying? I can't tell. But God hears his voice. Doesn't even mention Hagar's voice. Mentions his voice. Have we taught them well enough to know they can pray for themselves? And the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven. So now the conversation goes that way. There's this triangle here. And said unto her, What aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for God hath heard the voice of the lad where he is. So verse 18, here's the magnification of mercy. Arise, lift up the lad, hold him in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation. Hold him in thine hand. I'm holding him in mine. And 19, God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the bottle with water and gave the lad drink. Oh yes, I'm sure she was incredibly thirsty herself, but mother heart, let him drink first. In some ways, you think it's a shrub out in the middle of the desert. And shrubs have to have something to survive on, so I wonder if there's some water source nearby. Yeah, closer than you realize. You just need the eyes to see. And this place of such devastation, a place of death, is actually a place of life in disguise, once you have the eyes to see it. The place you were going to bury your son, basically, is the place you'll bring him back to life. That's another preview of coming attractions, Abraham and Isaac. Beautiful story. Well, verse 20, God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. Oh, a bow shot away? Maybe he took that seriously too. Oh, the blessings of God are always within a bow shot. And I want to learn to see the magnified mercy of God so that wherever I aim, I can find the help that I need.